And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time again for Catching the Curb with Bob Camardo. Thanks to our friends at the Curbstone Coaches. Bobby, how we been, brother?
Oh, living the dream. How about you?
We're well. We're
Good,
very well.
good.
The last time we talked, YSU, both teams were still playing. The season has concluded for both teams. You went out to Indianapolis.
I went to Indianapolis for the championship game. I watched the Cleveland State semifinal game on TV like everyone else, and I'm like, I've been waiting 100 years to get in the NCAA tournament, so if they're going to do it, I got to be there. So my buddy and I drove the 5 hours on Tuesday and watched the game live, and then came back on Wednesday. But without your best player, EJ Farmer was out for YSU, and they gave Robert Morris a tussle. They fell down behind 11-0, and then they spent the whole game trying to catch up. And they really played well, and they had a really great season. I think the world of Ethan Faulkner. He's a great young coach, so the future's bright, I believe.
Very bright. I mean, that was the one thing that I took away is how long you mentioned it. They've never done it, correct?
No, not Division One. No.
And you sit there and you look what Ethan's been able to do in the first year, and I think he is going to be one hell of a coach.
Well, you remember he had obviously very tough shoes to fill with
Sure.
Jared Calhoun leaving, and he in today's world of college basketball, you have a new team every year with NIL and portal and all that. So he picked up right where Jared left off, and had a great year. Winning those two conference tournament games without their best player speaks volumes about him, I believe.
Incredible. Hey, YSU, congratulations. Great
Absolutely.
seasons. Great
Absolutely.
seasons. We're proud of you. Thank you for giving us something to do
And
during the
listen,
winter.
and the women will be back. Melissa Jackson knows
Yeah.
what she's doing. They had a lot of injuries this year, and they were very young, but look out for them in the future, too, as well.
Speaking of looking out into the future, it is getting eerily close to that time of year where we're talking about banquet. We already did with Tom Miller. Do you feel a little bit of the pressure cranking up for the Curbstone coaches as we head down the home stretch?
Actually, I'm starting to feel some relief because I'm
Hey?
scheduling all these luncheon speakers. I'm down to just one opening left for the rest of the year now, and we've had a really, really great year. I mean, we had the Guardians and Pirates broadcasters. We've had Ron Strollo. We've had John Mang, Dr. Duffett, Trevor Parks from YSU. We had some guy named Yoakley came in and talked to us. We've just had a great, great year. And we had a speaker yesterday with something different, Ray Simon, who's a world-renowned sports artist. He's been commissioned to do paintings for the Bartolos and Cafaros of Jim Tressel, and he did Muhammad Ali. He's done presidential portraits, one for Trump, one for Barack Obama. So I mean, he was fascinating. He had a couple videos that he showed us. He brought some of his paintings in, and it was just something a little bit different. It was really, really good.
When you're, because you're usually with athletes or coaches or
Correct.
officials. Were there a lot of people there? Was there a lot of interest? Would that be someone that you'd want to bring back again and again?
I think so for sure. We had probably 35, 36 people there yesterday, which is a hair more than we've been getting. But yeah, I mean, it was. Sometimes I get criticized like, "Oh, you have is all the YSU coaches." Well, that's who draws, But yesterday was something a little bit different, and it was really, really good, really interesting.
You mentioned who you've had, who is left on the docket, and what is that opening?
Well, March 24th, which is next Monday, we have YSU President Bill Johnson coming in for the first time.
He'll draw.
He'll draw, and I'm sure that there'll be a lot of questions about, what's happening with athletics at the Division I level as far as funding and as far as NIL money and as far as the transfer portal, and the NCAA doesn't know which way to turn and so forth, so there'll be some interesting stuff there. Now, March 31st was our scheduled high school winter sports champions, anyone that won a state championship, and that turned out to be nobody. So we don't have any state champions, so what we did was we got legendary Newton Falls basketball coach Roy Sembach is going to come and talk to us. And something that's interesting about Roy and Newton Falls, I may be a year or two off on this, but since 1955, which is before I was born, they've had two high school basketball coaches at Newton Falls. Gene Zorn, and Roy Sembeck.
No kidding.
And that's got to be some kind of records that is unbelievable, because to only have in today's day and age, they change coaches every couple of years, especially if they don't win. And Roy Sembeck, I talked to him last night at the Trumbull County Sports Banquet for the Player of the Year for high school basketball. He's looking forward to coming and talking to us on March 31st.
That's incredible. I mean, I hate to, they're probably not Steelers fans, but that's Steeler-esque, right?
It is, very much so. It is.
That's incredible.
April 7th, which is the day of the national championship basketball game, NCAA, because we're in the March Madness now, obviously. Former Final Four and NBA official Joe DeRosa will be talking to us, and he comes every year, and he's just absolutely the best. April 14th, which is 2 days after the YSU spring football game, YSU football coach Doug Phillips will be in to recap the spring football season. And then April 21st, we've got Rick Bunteen, who was a former baseball pitcher from the area who just retired from running several minor league baseball franchises, and he's got some great stories to tell. April 28th is our open date. That's where we'll be looking for someone. And then we've got people lined up in May, including Matt Thompson from the Scrappers. And then May 19th is our last regularly scheduled luncheon. And then we go into the banquet, obviously, and then any high school champions or YSU champions, which we already obviously have some of the track stuff for Brian Gorby, who's getting in our Hall of Fame this year, by the way. So we'll have some of that early June, and then we'll be off for the summer.
Nice little segue for Mr. Gorby, Coach Gorby. So that'll be nice.
Yes.
Okay, as we get closer to the end of the year, what has been one of your highlights this year that you've really been able to encapsulate?
Honestly, yesterday with Ray Simon was something different for us, and he was tremendous. We've had, like I said, Greg Brown from the Pirates, Jim Rosenhaus from the Guardians, broadcasters were here. Ty Petrie spoke to us in December. He's a big NIL. He's the Penguin Collective guy for NIL down at YSU. And of course the coaches, Ethan Faulkner, Melissa Jackson. We had Riley Jarrett, who's the new volleyball coach at YSU. Ron Strollo, Dana Ballish, yourself. I mean, it's a star-studded lineup that we have almost every year for lunches. And Tom and I were just talking before DJ finally showed up today. We need to get more retirees to come to our luncheons, because it's hard to get people who work for a living to come at noon. And we go to Evian on the Water, and they treat us great. They got good food. It's a great venue. But some of you people who might be watching this who are retired, come out one time. I'll guarantee you get hooked.
And if they want to come out, it's what time? Mondays?
Every Monday at noon. We start the Monday after Labor Day. We go through the end of May, except for we take off for Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
And it's at noon at Evian on the Water on Western Reserve Road. It's a buffet lunch. You pay $18. You get to listen to whoever the speaker is that day. A lot of fellowship. You get a lot of guys to sit around and BS about sports even after the speakers are done. So if you love sports, there's no better avenue to travel than the Curbstone Coaches Luncheons.
Curbstone Coach Lunches, the best there are, without a doubt. Bob Camardo, thank you so much for once again stopping by. Sorry I was late.
That's okay. You're forgiven. You're okay. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This has been Catching the Curb, brought to you by the Curbstone Coaches.